Hi, welcome back. This is Dorothy with Scrapbooking, and this is what I'm going to be working on. These are designs 3 and 4 of Hope and Kindness. So I hope you enjoy it, and here we go. So here are the designs 3 and 4. So I love that we're taking one design and we're going to make two different looking cards from each design. So this one, pretty simple cuts. Now we've got these 3 strips, and the most complicated thing is making the doilies with the thin cuts. So, and then I've also used the stitched rectangle thin cut to for the sentiment. I couldn't think of the word. So look at these super easy cuts. That's like, maybe 1 1 1/4 by 3 1/2 or so. I don't have, well, let me see. I do have the measurements. And then the doilies are from our doily thin cut set. So we're using, this is kind of the signature paper of Hope and Kindness. Really pretty dark harbor color background with the, look how pretty those flowers look on there. And I'm just giving kind of an even border of white around the edges and then in between the strips. And then this is a little 1/2 inch piece that came from one of the papers that has stripes on it. So, and it's just going down at the bottom. Yeah, so these pieces are 1 1/4 by 4 inches, the flowered pieces. So super easy to do. You can download these instructions. It's on dorothy.closetomyheart.com, and if you go to the Hope and Kindness card making kit page, you will see it where it says download guide, and you can download those instructions and print them off, put them on your iPad, whatever. So you can make, they're fairly easy cuts. Now, if you don't want to make doilies or whatever point of interest, you don't have to. You can just use the simple cuts and make some simpler cards. But of course, the more detail you have on your cards, the usually prettier they are and the more interesting they are. So we're using a lot of die cuts here for these cards, and I just love those open die cuts. I think they're so pretty. We've got lots of fronds. There's a huge amount of die cuts on this sheet that comes with your card making workshop. So just love that. And the you get the printed paper, but you also get cardstock that goes with the printed paper. And it's exclusive cardstock for Hope and Kindness. So it's not our usual cardstock that is the original color on one side and a shade lighter on the other side. And it's just a flat cardstock color. So just easy breezy background. This cardstock has it has design and texture to it that is just beautiful. It's kind of watercolorish on one side, a texture on the other that's, when you feel it, there is no texture. So it's just super cool. Now the detail that we're doing there is I filled in the center of the doily with the coral tri-blend marker, and then the open heart die cut piece goes over that colored area. So you get a slightly darker peach colored heart than the surrounding doily. So very cool. So the color of the doily is peach. And like I said, it's coral, the coral tri-blend marker, the lighter color that goes on, gets colored on the inside. So nice idea for giving a darker color to that heart. So, and then we're tucking the leaves, the little branches of leaves, right under the doily. So, yeah, how pretty that is. It's really pretty. And then I'm going to take my wishes sentiment stamp sheet, and I'm putting much love down at the bottom. So in the open white area. So that's the first card done. Now once you get these, and it wasn't terrifically complicated to do all the cutting for these cards, once you get the pieces all put together, and you want to put both sets for each design in one bag. So like this came out of my sandwich bag number 3, and it has enough for both cards, so I didn't say much love. This one was a thank you. And I'm stamping in Harbor. Harbor is such a dark blue that it's almost black. So it's super, super deep, deep blue. So it really is striking when you look at the color. It's a very strong color. So now we're having, this is the same paper, but we're using the flip side of it to give a totally different look. Once again, same idea, same amount of white space around the edges and between, and the same pink strip is going down at the bottom, not pink, peach. Just clipping the little edge there so it lines up with the edge of the strips. And so what you can do with your leaf, boughs of leaves, is put them on first and then put the doily on top of it. So I'm just kind of dotting and smushing the glue into place. Ew, don't you just love that open leaf thing? Really love that. And then just dotting here. You don't really need a whole lot of glue to hold these little bitty things in place. And then I'm going to pop up the doily. And I colored this doily the same as the other doily. The center of the doily got colored with the coral, and then the open heart went over it. So same idea. Now this one is I'm going to put my stitched rectangle from the smallest of the rectangles over a piece of the pine colored cardstock. And it goes edge to edge, so the color of the pine is just showing above and below. Now, as far as the sentiments go, whatever card sentiments you have, you can use for these cards. I didn't buy a second stamp set because I had just made a bunch of cards with this particular stamp set. So it pretty much covers everything. I mean, look at that, wishing you well, happy birthday, congratulations, celebrate. I think one says happy anniversary, thinking of you, thank you. I mean, it just kind of covers it all there. And so I'm going to pop up the sentiment with some thin foam spots, dots, whatever you want to call them. So it isn't going to be popped up as much as the doily. And you could put that underneath if you wanted to also. So wishing you well. Now the little bling that we're going to put on there is I'm just adding some dots, little bitty dots of the Tombow glue. Same thing with the other card. always want a little bling. And the nice thing about using sequins is it doesn't add a thickness to the card like maybe the wood embellishments that came with the Hope and Kindness scrapbooking set. Those are pretty thick, and they'll add a kind of a bump to your card if you send them in the mail. So the sequins are perfect for cards because you won't get it caught in the sorting machines and have it rip the envelope or whatever. So the sequins are really perfect for card use. So there's one, and I'm using my wax. We carry this under the tool section. So it's a wax stick that's covered with paper that you can peel as you wear the wax down, and you can kind of take the paper off as you move on up. So it's just real simple to pick up the sequins with that little bitty thing. Instead of, if you stick your finger in there, the sequins are going to stick all over your fingers, and then you have to try to shake them off because of the static electricity. So you make yourself crazy. So this little wax stick, they're cheap. I think maybe you get 2 in a pack, and it's going to last you forever. So there's my 2 cards. Okay, now we're going on to card design number 4. So those are what they're going to look like. And what I really like about these cards is you use the tri-blend markers and kind of scribble on the background, and then you put either stamping on top of it, like in the Hope, or the heart cutout on the left-hand card. So I really like the way it looks. Now we're going to be coloring a number of the die cuts that we made with the thin cuts. So I've got my 2 cards ready to go. Trying to give them a good crease there. And so we've got background for one, and then that's not right, is it? Let's see. I think that I have one right background and one background that's not right. Okay, so I had to go find the other background, and as it turns out, it was one of the cut apart PML cards on the background, and so somehow I missed that when I was doing the cuts. So we're going to use this really pretty daisy paper, and I'm cutting my doily, my kraft doily, in half, and I've got the Sundance strip going down. So this is sort of a modified L card where you've got, a strong feature that's going down the left-hand side that takes your eye down, and then the larger feature is going from left to right, and that's going to be where the sentiment is. So the longer element takes your eye down to where the sentiment is. So this is a very good technique for making cards because it really does kind of play with your eyes. So I'm just trimming off a little extra from the edge of the paper just to get so that all the right color is on the background here. So this is, which I've said before, this dark green is called Pine. And I definitely have gotten clues from close to my heart that it's going to be one of our new colors. So I'd like it. It's a nice strong color. I love the way the Sundance looks with it. I love the way pink looks with it. So these are the insides of the stitched rectangles. And that is going to become the bottom part of the L. So that heart is a die cut from the stamp set. So I'm going to take off the stamp and ink it up in Harbor. There we go. Harbor ink, and stamp it. So I'm seasoning it first to get any of the oils or whatever off of the stamp, so we get a good clear impression here. And so I'm just testing it out with my little spongy background, and that's a beautiful stamp. So perfect. So now the trick is lining it up and then giving a good press for like 3 to 5 seconds. Makes a huge difference. I'm telling you, my stamping literally has gotten so much better since I was listening to one of the artists at Close to My Heart, where on one of her Facebook Live demonstrations, she was saying that you really need to firmly press and hold your stamp in place for 3 to 5 seconds. And it's made a huge difference in my stamping. And I've been stamping for about a bazillion years, a very long time. So here's my yellow gold marker, tri-blend marker. And so, see, I'm making a background for it. You can kind of add more in the general shape of your stamp. Look, it looks so cool, right? I really love that. A super simple technique to add something to whether you're making a card or making a scrapbook page. It really adds a lot to your creation. So I'm popping it up with the thin foam dots, so it's not standing up super tall from the background, just a little bit. Oh boy, do I like that color. Wow, I really like the way that looks. I could look at that all day. Okay, so I love how the yellow behind heart just kind of brings out the little pops of yellow in the background paper. So, and of course it's duplicated with our strip going down, up and down. And I mean, it's funny to just see the word heart there, but there's another stamp that says, well, I'm trying to think of what it says. You are my, maybe. Could say I love you with all my. So I've got the stamp on there. I just cut a little thin strip that I didn't have in my little baggie. And it says with all my. And this is kind of a reverse stamp. So the whole background is the color and the words are recessed so they don't take up the ink. So that is going to go right there, and I'm going to put it flat, I think. No, I'm actually popping it up. It could have gone flat and been behind the H. But so it's going to be at about the same level as heart is. So this is really turning into be a pretty card. I like it. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp with the intense black so we can color it in. You need to watch out for your ink because you don't want to make a mess and ruin other pieces that you've already cut. That would be a waste of time. So be careful with your ink pads, she says from experience. So the intense black will not bleed when you're coloring it. That's what's so great about it. And the other great thing is it doesn't take long to dry. So you can uh, color on it very quickly without having to worry about it bleeding. So the archival black is a deeper, deeper black, and you have to let it dry for a while before you can color on it. So I'm outlining in the dark and coloring kind of with the medium. I'm using coral on the smaller flower here. Now what you can do, so I'm going to give this flower, I'm going to color it with coral. So what you can do, according to instructions on the tri-blend markers, is color the entire flower starting off with the light. And then you can outline in the dark and then blend between the two with the medium and then go over it again with the light, blending all of the shades together. So you really end up with this gradation of color that's really quite lovely. Now I'm using green for the leaves. I think that they kind of showed that the leaves were blue, but I wanted green leaves, especially with this green paper. And, you know, it could be that my blue is off on my printing. So, anyway, I'm going for the green leaves, personally. And I think that this is either dull green or yellow green tri-blend marker. Ooh, I just got a whole bunch more tri-blend markers. I thought I was all caught up in my tri-blend markers, and as it turns out, I wasn't. So I didn't have a couple of the colors, or one of the colors that they were suggesting to use on this paper, on these cards. And holy moly, the colors that I got, so I've got all the colors filled in now. They are absolutely gorgeous. I was just stunned at how beautiful they are. So there's like an antique blue, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, I'm real happy with my new markers. Now I have to do something to use them. So there's my yellow flower. I made the large yellow flower because our predominant color here, our accent color, is yellow. And so I wanted to have the flower be consistent with the accent colors. So I'm going to add a little die cut heart from our sheet. And perfect. So the craft heart and the craft doily just kind of, it makes sense to have two now. It just kind of helps to have the doily make sense when you have the heart to counterbalance. So I just add a couple of drops of glue. And here comes my bling. So there's one. There's going to be three. Each one is getting, I think, three. Because we usually work in threes with bling. It makes it, I don't know what it is. It's just more comfortable to the eye to have an odd number rather than an even number. Look how pretty that looks. I'm real happy with that. So here we go with the pine background, and we're flipping over the Sundance color to have kind of the desert rose be an accent color. And then we've got our stitched rectangle. And we've got the other side of the craft doily had a little extra piece in there. And I'm just tucking it behind. And because we're using the Desert Rose as the accent color here, this is why I made this flower the coral color. So it's kind of repeating the accent color. Now this is a calmer looking card because it doesn't have all the flowers in the background. So it's even more, maybe dare I say, masculine. So here comes my coral, and I'm using, I believe, the light one, and maybe I did the wrong side, possibly. And I'm pulling out my Hope stamp and seasoning it because I haven't stamped with it yet. Really, I'm going straight for it without doing a test run? Golly. Seriously. Can't believe I didn't do a test run. I always do a test run. Fortunately for me, it came out good. I'll take luck any day of the week. So I'm putting my stamp back after I cleaned it off. And we're going to add another stamp. And I'm going to go ahead and put the Hope in place. And it's just getting centered. Well, no, it's getting centered right to left, but it's dropping down to the lower part because I need room to put the smaller stamp. So here we go. Let's see what this one says. Sending you hope. That kind of makes me sad. There's something going on when you see those words. But there's a lot of sadness going on in the world. So it's nice to think of people, other people, when they're going through hard times. And it really makes a big difference to people, I can tell you. People really appreciate it. So here I've got little bitty hearts from the die cut sheet. They're little polka dot hearts. And once again, we're kind of repeating the kraft color so that it all makes sense. And we're going to put a little arrow, also from the kraft sheet. You could either use either side, but this makes using the striped side, of course, makes it stick out a little bit more. And then we're going to add our bling. There we go. The little dots of glue just make adding the bling so much easier. So let me just say, once again, if you haven't subscribed, I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment. If you have any questions, I will try to answer your questions. And there's our last two cards for, well, card design 4. So here's all of our cards. And I really think that this selection of cards is really beautiful. And so I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Bye now.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Smith. Thanks for watching my video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and learn along with me. Thanks. Bye-bye.